Hey, my name's Steven, coming at you from Florida.
Hello, y'all. This is Kevin coming from Texas.
My name's David. I'm coming from the heartland, Ohio.
And welcome to the Brothers
Corn Podcast.
And we're excited to talk to you.
Yes, we are.
Welcome back to the Brothers Born Podcast. We're excited to continue our discussion about Star Wars, one of Kevin's favorite things. He's an expert in this, apparently.
I'm not an expert in Star Wars.
More expert than David and I, that's for sure. I was just finishing up last episode, and you knew the names of all these characters and like the race and all this. It's pretty impressive.
Maybe I'm just in denial. I don't know. I think it's because I know so many other Star Wars nerds that have such a higher knowledge than I do.
It's true. There are some people out there that are next level.
I don't know if you guys ever been to Wikipedia.com, but they have like entire pages on characters that are just randomly in the background. And apparently they have names. And I'm actually going to discuss one of them later today, but we'll get into that later.
So just real quick, just real surface level, what have you guys been up to this week? What's the cool thing you're doing?
Oh, well, I don't know if it's cool, but have either of you ever seen it is an old Disney cartoon, not like super old, only had 2 seasons, Gravity Falls. You guys ever see that?
Yeah,
No.
I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah, so
my kids have binge watched that whole show.
Well, that's what I did this past week. I binge watched Gravity Falls.
Huh. I will have to look into it. I never even heard of it before.
It is fantastic. It's a little bit different. A lot of people like complain because there's only 2 seasons, and they're like, there's a lot of stuff on the internet where people are like, oh, there needs to be a 3rd season. We're going to have a 3rd season. But the creators come out and said, I've only ever done 2 seasons. I'm ever going to do 2 seasons.
It's better not to force that sort of thing.
Yeah. The other thing I kind of nerd out about is I recently found out that Splatoon 3 is coming out for the Switch next year.
Oh, is there going to be a split screen option?
I don't know if there's going to be a split screen option
That's
or not.
the only reason I haven't gotten that game.
Dude, that game is you should get that. Well, I mean, I guess you might as well wait till the 3rd one's out now. But those games are a lot of fun. You can ask Steve. We've played it a couple times.
I wish you could do like, if I could play with my kids in the same room. That's the only thing I'm kind of bummed out about with it. It'd be cool to play you guys too, but it'd be nice to play this old style split screen option with it.
That's not a thing that you see much of anymore.
I know, and that's the best way to game, man. Get some pizza rolls and some chips and some Mountain Dew and just go at it.
Yes.
In other news, they're also re-releasing Skyward Sword.
Yes.
Legends of Zelda Skyward Sword.
That brings me to mind. I pre-ordered it yesterday.
You pre-ordered it? When's it coming out? I don't even know when it comes out.
Coming out in July. I put $5 down. I am part of the GameStop monthly thing, so I get $5 off every month. So I just did that.
See, my whole thing with that is I have it on the Wii already, and it's not like it's a different game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I want to spend money on a game that I already own just to get a high-res version of it.
We talked about this, though. You and I are, this is horrible. It's a very first world problem, but we're too lazy to hook up a different video game system to play a game. We'd rather just buy the new version on the new system and play it so we don't have to.
David, I want you to weigh in on this. See, so I have this problem. We discussed this earlier in the week. We'll get into Star Wars in a little bit, or sometimes I don't complete a video game because I'll buy a new game and I'll play the new game and I'm too late. Not because I don't want to play the other game. It's just I'm too lazy to switch the game out.
Like
I don't want to put in the effort to take one game out of my system and put another one in, even with the Switch, which is simple.
Well, you know what my kids did? They really ticked me off. They get too lazy to put the game. Those Switch games are tiny, and they're too lazy to put them back in the case. So they played Mario Kart, and I swear it was Hudson, I think. But he left the game cartridge out on the TV stand, and then it must have fallen off and got vacuumed up because it's a $50 game and it's gone now, just because he didn't want to put it back in the case. So I'm kind of still bent about that. But here's what we do to solve this problem. On this side of the room, we have our Xbox with a TV.
Oh, I forgot you have an Xbox.
On the other side of the room, we have the TV with the Switch. So like half the boys will play the Xbox here. The other half will play the Switch there. So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying about the not wanting to switch.
Dave must be balling. He's got 2 TVs. He's got
TV right here. that the Switch is on, we got when we were married, and I've had it for 13 years. So no, it's not. I'm not
I
balling.
can relate to that because the TV I use at home is probably a good 10 to 12 years old.
And this one here we've had for a while, but it was a really cheap one. So I'm not balling. I just got tired of the kids arguing. So instead of having the TVs in separate rooms, we just put them both in the family room.
Works like a big like playroom. I dig it. Dave, what have you been up to?
Over here's their table with the Mario Legos, even though it's got a bunch of other junk on it.
Oh, cool.
What have I been up to? Not much. Just Cobra Kai. I binged it. It's done.
Dude, I love that show. That show is awesome.
I don't want to wait till January for the next season. That show,
yeah, I know.
like, it's so great. That's been my main thing. That's the show I'm really high on right now. Other than that, not much. Just dealing with the weather that we have, snow, and getting days off of work and shoveling snow and all that fun stuff. I hit a deer the other day. It was already dead, but it kind of messed up my fender on my car, so I'm getting that fixed tomorrow. That's about it.
Stephanie got me to start watching the Great British Baking Show. That's what I've been doing this week.
Okay, I got to go now. I'll see you.
It's actually super interesting. I like it. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I've always hated food TV, but this one I get into it, man. I want to go bake stuff now. And
Cobra Kai is better. Cobra Kai is
true.
Cobra Kai is better.
Also, a side note: Stephanie and I have been baking our own sourdough bread for the past
my
couple
goodness,
weeks, and it's been very delicious.
I went to Walmart and bought some baked goods the other day.
I haven't been to Walmart because a lot of stuff's closed down in Texas right now. Well, not right now, but like this past week, I've been stuck in the house all week because Texas,
COVID,
it's a little bit of snow and because of snow in Texas.
So, I think we should call your problem Snowvid-19.
I've heard that already. It wouldn't be Snowvid-21.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, it's still whatever. Okay, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover here today.
Oh, also,
yeah, we do have a lot to cover.
The Mandalorian. I almost finished watching.
Oh, good. Too. Yeah, we need to because we're talking about Star Wars. We're going to have to get into that.
That's why I brought that in.
So a lot of people don't realize this actually is the episode I've been looking forward to, this Death Star episode, because it is the one that originally was the thought process, like the first idea we had that sparked an interest in doing this podcast. So, or at least for me.
It's true.
So with that, I'm going to get started on a few things real quick. All right. I'm going to give you some information about the Death Star. I'm going to tell me what you guys think. All right. First of all, it costs over 1 trillion galactic credits. So this is not a cheap weapon. All right. I mean, I don't know how much the U.S. military spends on like all their Navy ships. It's probably up there. I don't know if it's 1 trillion. I'll have to look that up and compare it sometime. So
1 trillion galactic credits. Now, what is that to a dollar? I wonder.
I don't know I don't know what it is to a dollar.
Interesting.
I mean, I know Republic credits will not be fine when you're shopping at Tatooine. So those are Republic credits. What? So when the Empire came to power, what did they do with all the Republic credits?
They just threw them out. I guess.
Same thing with that Bitcoin.
Did they? Like, is our Republic credits a collector's item?
If people have them in collections,
like the old
jars at their house.
Yeah.
Like
and furthermore, if you have Republic credits, just as a collection, is that even legal? Because the Empire is very anti-Republic, right?
They are, yeah. So let's assume for the discussion, though, that 1 trillion galactic credits, one credit is $1. That's still a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I think it would have to cost more than $1 trillion to build a planet-sized spaceship. I mean, look at President Biden's going to spend $2 trillion just to get us our stimulus. So
that's true.
So
that's true. And I imagine our current Navy probably does spend about that, if not more, on ships. But I don't know. I never looked into that. But it supposedly costs 1 trillion galactic credits.
And that's just to build it, not even to sustain it.
Yeah, not even to sustain it. It's just to build it. Let's see. It's about 160 kilometers in width.
Okay. That's not as big as I thought, actually.
Yeah.
That's not that big. It's not that big.
That's not even still like big. That's not even the size of a moon, really.
Well, it's a small moon. I mean, it's no moon. It's a battle station.
It
in
confuses
width.
them. They think it's a moon at first.
It has a class.
I'd say we're lucky if that's even an asteroid, man. I'm a little bit disappointed now.
It has a class 4 hyperdrive, but you guys don't really care about that, nor do I. All right, let's see.
I prefer the class 5 for sure.
Yeah, there's a whole thing in here about what kind of weapons it has on it, but
It has that big laser that comes out of the eye.
That's all you need.
yeah, it's got like concussion missiles. There's all kinds of stuff, but that I'm not worried about. So here's something that I find interesting. So there's about 7,000 TIE fighters within it.
Okay.
3,600 shuttles, and then you got like 2,800 walkers, and then another 1,860 landing craft. So that's a lot of spaceships on this thing.
Yes, that's a lot.
All right.
A lot of tech.
How many like golf carts do they have to drive around on that thing?
Now, here's the part that this is something I want to get into a little bit of a discussion of in a bit. It holds a crew of 1,186,295 people. That's on the low number. So it's that up to 1,206,293. So those are that's total personnel.
Steven's jotting it down.
Yeah, so that's total personnel. But of that, when you actually comes to the crew, the Imperial Navy, its garrison and Army garrisons that are there are about 342,953, and stormtroopers are about 25,984. So you have like a good 750,000 passengers that are not really affiliated.
They doing on there?
They're not really affiliated with like the military. So this is something that
why are they on that thing?
Well, I have theories about that. There's not a whole lot of information about that.
It's not like it goes to vacation destinations. It just blows up places.
You got to think like, this is basically a planet. So, you got to have like your cooks. You got to have like the people there, just people stationed there got to be entertained. Like you go to a military base, they have, McDonald's and they have like shopping centers and stuff like that. So, you're going to have bars. In fact, I don't think it's canonical anymore, but there was a novel about the Death Star, and one of the characters was like a barkeeper.
Lounge singer.
Yeah, well, I think they have that too. But there's like
you gotta have that stuff. Those are like the civilians that are on the Death Star.
Yeah. So, which begs to the question, like blowing up the Death Star. All right.
Imagine all those people.
Exactly, all those people that they totally just killed, like basically murdered 750,000 people. They're not, they weren't doing anything. They're just doing like, they're probably janitors and stuff. They weren't they weren't like military officers or anything. So you have 750,000 people that just all die in one incident.
Yeah, but instance. I mean, when you think about it, not that Luke is out for revenge because that leads to the dark side, but his sister's whole planet got blown up. So from the Death Star. So there had to be more than 700,000 people on there, right?
Well, yeah, but that's an evil thing to do. But it's not like the people, your janitors and stuff on the Death Star are responsible for that.
So yeah, and what are these
trying to make money?
What do these civilians? What are these civilians that are on the Death Star think when the Death Star blows up a planet? Are they like, oh man, they shouldn't have done that? Well, I thought I was just on this.
I was on a cruise.
Well, the novel that I had read about the Death Star, which again isn't canon anymore, but a lot of the characters that were on it, like one of them was, I think he was like a bartender or something like that. Like he was working there, but when they blew up Alderaan, he was like, "Oh heck no!" And then he like basically left.
Oh man, so they let him leave. That's cool.
And then Darth Vader.
Well, I don't think they let him leave, but he did anyway. So I imagine because working as a civilian under the Empire, you got to make a living. You got to provide for your family.
They probably have a hospital or something there too. People working at the clinic.
No, exactly.
So it's just maybe like a putt-putt course, bowling alleys.
I don't think they had any of that. But, but 750,000 people just chilling. Like,
how do you think the Empire inspired both civilians and soldiers to be a part of the Death Star? Do you think it was like a great opportunity?
Seriously.
There's a flyers posted around on different planets, like
a picture
paid
of Darth Vader
vacation,
saying,
or
"We want you."
Yeah, seriously. Or it's like a all-inclusive benefits package for those who volunteer or something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you think was the motivator?
I imagine they probably just got stationed there.
Not the civilians though, right? Unless they had to go there for their jobs, they got transferred there or something.
Or maybe they're family members.
Oh, that
You
could
know,
be.
Oh, they bring their family.
maybe
I'll
Admiral
I'll
Piet.
go on the Death Star, but I need my family to come with me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Admiral Piet. Maybe he had like wife and kids.
And I
You
want a
know,
suite with a pool. And
There's a
I,
pool.
I'm just kidding.
it's not that big, remember?
Oh yeah,
But
that's right.
like, a
It
lot of
fits a
it could
million
be just be
people.
like
Those
officers,
people would be cramped in there. But go ahead.
just like officers, soldiers. I don't know about stormtroopers, but they probably had their families with them. It'd just be like anywhere else.
But
And
it's
my
like,
thing is to go with that too, though. Like the first Death Star, it'd probably be a pretty cool thing to volunteer to be on it. Like, oh, I'm part of this new initiative, this
yeah.
planet destroying thing. I'm gonna get on it. But then it gets blown up. So how easy was it to recruit for the second Death Star? And even then,
Especially since
after
the second one wasn't even finished yet. Like
right,
it wasn't
and,
completed yet.
and then
Uh,
even then, like people, how would you recruit then on top of that for the third one? That's in the the new Star Wars trilogy,
oh,
whatever.
well, Steve and I mentioned this
Force
earlier.
Awakens, Force Awakens. Like,
Yeah.
how would anyone want to be on that one?
So Stephen and I mentioned. I was talking about Stephen with this a little bit earlier before we started. Star Killer Base, I wouldn't really consider a Death Star.
Okay,
Hey,
Simply
okay,
because
okay.
it's the same. It's the same concept, no?
It's a big
it,
planet
it
that they build that blows up other planets. I know they use.
no.
You can talk your Star Wars science all you want, man. It
How is
is
that
it's
different?
the
Well,
same
yeah,
thing.
I get that.
The
I
idea
get
is
the
the
idea is
same.
the same, but it's it's a completely different weapon though. I'm trying to figure out how Star Killer Base even works.
They should have called it Death Star Part 3. Really, it was just we just all need to admit that Death Star 3, and now we have a Death Star trilogy. All three of them failed.
I know, Kevin. I know you're dying to tell us. So just give us the science. How is it different than the Death Star?
I'm not dying to tell
You're
you.
burning inside. You're like, I
No, I
have
am
to tell
not.
them
So
this.
the Death Star super laser is powered by Kyber crystals,
Okay.
whereas the Star Killer Base is powered
Classic,
by energy harnessed from the moon or from the
classic
sun.
Kyber crystal weapon. Got it. Okay.
And Star
So
Killer Base
what you're saying
harnesses
is you don't just plug in the laser into like a wall socket.
no.
Oh, okay.
Then what's
That
the
thing
Star
had
Killer
Like
base
like
at?
I thought you could plug
I
it
was trying
in.
to see how much power it took to fire
thought
this
you
stupid thing, and I couldn't
I thought you
find it
could plug it into one of those things that R2D2 hooks up into. And
All right. So
everywhere.
what makes the Star Killer base different than the Death Star?
I told you because it's powered differently. The
Oh
weapon's
yeah, but
different.
you said one is powered by these special crystals. What's the Death Star?
Hey,
What's
wait.
Well, the
Killer
Death Star,
base powered
the Death
by?
Star is planet killer. It can blow up like entire planets. The Star
But the
Killer Base
Star-
can blow up an entire system.
Wow.
That's true. That's true. And it sucks the energy from all the stars and
Yeah,
takes that energy in. I mean, it's kind of like just getting an upgrade. I mean, it's the same basic idea, but it's like going from an iPhone 7 to an iPhone 12. Yeah.
What I want to know is the Star Killer Base because you look at this movie, they have like vegetation, like plants and stuff. It's basically a planet. So they like hollow out a planet and then put like a big metal structure on the inside of it. Like, how did that even work? How is that even feasible to build that?
Cobra Commander
Like the
put
Death
his
Star,
face on the moon,
the Death
so-
Star they could build. I mean, I mean, it's expensive and kind of impractical. But like, you could build a Death Star. How would you like hollow
Where
out
did
a planet?
Where do they get all the material to build it to?
Dude,
And
the
yeah,
Galactic Empire.
from the inside of the planet that they hollow out, they've used insides to build.
They probably used to build more Death Stars.
I think I would have loved to have been on the fly on the wall on the planning committee for all three of these things. The first one,
I know, right?
it's like, oh yeah, okay, I get this great idea, and like, oh yeah, everyone's fired up about it because at the first time it probably sounded really awesome. Like, let's spend 1 trillion galactic credits and build a planet, and everyone's like, yeah, that sounds sweet. And then it gets destroyed, and then they're like, all right, guys, what do we do now? And
We gotta build
Admiral comes
another
back up. He's like, I got an idea. Let's build another Death Star. And everyone's like, yeah. They're all gung ho. I don't know why.
Let those rebels destroy us. But no, I have a question. You can just come back to this later if you want. But I should know this. But on the second Death Star, I'm not talking about the third Star Destroyer, whatever. The second Death Star, did they improve like the defense on it, or were they going to make any improvements on it before it got destroyed?
I believe so because was it Galen Erso was the designer for the first one?
Yeah, he built
from Rogue One, and he purposely built a flaw into it. So my guess would be on the second one, they probably, I mean, obviously it wasn't finished, but when it was upon completion, I doubt they put the same flaw in it. Although I don't know why they built it in such a way where an entire spaceship could just fly in the inside of the thing. Like that's kind of weird.
At the committee meeting, they're like, all right, let's make the same thing, but let's not put that flaw in it that Galen Erso put in. And then that one gets destroyed. And then what is it? How many years later is The Force Awakens compared to Return of the Jedi?
It's like 20, 30 years, something like that.
Okay, so science advances a little bit. The new committee in the First Order is like, all right, what do we got to do different this time? And one guy raises his hand. He says, let's make it eco-friendly. Let's take the power from the stars. And then like, yeah, dude, let's go green. The First Order went green compared to the
That's
Empire.
true. So maybe they aren't so bad, the First Order.
Well, they did destroy a whole. They can destroy a whole system.
Although they were kidnapping babies and turning them into stormtroopers, so that's kind of messed up.
That's pretty jacked up. But I mean, at least the Empire had the.
But then again, the Jedi kidnap babies. The Jedi kidnap babies to turn them into Jedi, so that's not really any different.
They don't really kidnap them. Before they took Anakin, they got his mom's permission.
Yeah, but she was a slave. What's she going to say? No.
Yeah, we're leaving you here, slave. Give me your son. They tried to take her, but it wouldn't work out. Which is still dumb that they couldn't take her mom. Like Qui-Gon could have got the mom somehow, I think. But I digress.
Maybe he could have
he could have just killed Watto and taken her.
Seriously, I think Qui-Gon. I know he's a cool dude, but he had a lot of shortcomings, I think. And the whole thing is his fault, man. He thought Anakin was the chosen one.
Even the Jedi Order saw him as having shortcomings. That's why he was never ranked as a part of the council or anything.
Now, Star Wars, it's a true story. It just takes place in a galaxy far, far away. So,
right, of course, a long time ago in a galaxy.
Yes, yeah. So David asked when we were texting about this last night, how many Death Stars would it take to blow up Jupiter or Saturn?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. All I know is it blows up a planet. I don't know how that works though.
But are we talking like a planet like Mercury or even Earth, or are we talking like a gas giant like Jupiter?
I feel like
my question is, why would you need to blow up a gas giant?
Just to see if you can.
Yeah, dude. A science experiment.
Like you think about like the general, the leader of the Death Star. Maybe he had one too many at the bar one night, and he's like, I think I'm gonna go blow up Jupiter. Come on, who's with me? Let's see what this bad boy can do.
Woo! Let's go. I mean, what kind of makes sense because isn't Bespin a gas giant?
Bespin? What the heck is that?
I don't even know what that
is.
That's
where the cloud city. That's where this cloud city is located.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah, like where Lando is.
Yeah, of course. I don't know what he's doing there. It's like a city in the sky. I think it's like a mining colony. But if you're in a gas giant, what are you mining?
Gas. Yeah, dude. I mean, the Empire needs it just as bad as we do. Yeah, exactly. They're not eco-friendly, as we just learned. So they're taking gas and fossil fuels to power their weapon.
But no, do you think it'd be possible, or would it be easier to blow it up since it's not really a solid planet like Earth is? I don't know.
I don't know how the weapon.
Would the laser just go straight through it and do nothing?
I don't know how the laser actually works. Like I don't know how it actually blows
crystals
up. Yeah, I know that, but I mean, like, how does a giant laser making a planet explode?
Well, I think if you put a big
it shoots down to the core, and the core like explodes, and the whole planet follows suit. Right?
That could be.
Now, so I think the star. What's this thing called in Force Awakens, Kevin? The Star
Killer Base.
Star Killer Base. That could blow up the entire Milky Way. Then is that what you're saying?
No, that's the whole entire galaxy. It would blow up like the solar system. There's a lot of space in between planets, so you got to think each one of those little lasers. I think it's weird that everyone sees it. If there's a giant laser shot at some planets or at a solar system, I don't know, whatever the nearest solar system is to us, I don't think we would actually see it from Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about this? Would the planets like Neptune, they wouldn't even know it happened until a little bit after, because how long it takes the light to get out.
Yeah, that's true.
They'd be like, oh, it'd be like hundreds of years later, and they'd be like, oh, heck, I haven't been able to get a hold of my mom. I don't know what that's all about.
Clearly, the three of us understand physics very well.
What about this too? Obviously, they're probably going to make a Star Wars Part 10. Yes, I'm sure they will. And do you think in this next trilogy, if they do make one, they're going to advance to not a system killer, but a galaxy killer?
I hope not. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would you?
Does any of it make sense? I mean, you go from planet to solar system.
I'm trying to think. So, you guys know there's two separate Star Wars timelines now, right?
Yeah,
because of the new movies that Disney put out.
Yeah.
So in the old one, there was
It's all the same timeline, though, isn't it? It's all connected.
Yeah, but there's two different times. No, there's two different times. No, it is, because before the Disney movies came out with the expanded universe, like the books and stuff, they had a very different route. Like Luke Skywalker had children. Han and Leia still had children too, but they were different, very different characters. Chewbacca died. A bunch of crazy stuff happened. So, those books covered like spans of
So,
thousands.
like the original trilogy goes on to more timeline, whereas the other movies.
Yes. So there's called the
So they
Legends.
start the same way, but then they split up.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So so instead of making all that old stuff official, they just changed it into a separate timeline. Basically, it's a separate canon. But in the
And that
in the
one's more like the books and stuff.
yeah, so the two timelines are Legends and canon are the names of the two timelines. In the Legends timeline, there was a group of aliens or something from another galaxy that ended up coming and attacking the Star Wars galaxy. They're the ones that killed Chewbacca, actually.
Okay.
He's the only
I
one.
don't know if they're going to do anything with that in the movies, though.
But well, I learned a lot about the Death Star today, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept here.
Kevin, you posed a question in the last episode, and I'd like you to pose that question again. We can have a little discussion to close us out here.
Oh, okay. So who is the? I feel like I'm the only one that talked this time.
Well, you do know more about Star Wars than us.
A lot of this I am looking up as we talk. I don't have this as all from memory. All right. So the question is, who is the true hero of the Battle of Yavin?
I don't even know what that is.
So the Battle of Yavin is when they blew up the first Death Star.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that's what it was called. Okay.
All right.
So my first instinct is Galen Erso. Although he was not present at the Battle of Yavin, they could not have blown the Death Star up without him purposely and intentionally foiling the plans of the Death Star and the crew from Rogue One, stealing the plans. I think that's what makes sense to me. They are the true heroes because without them, it couldn't have been destroyed.
You actually, that's a good point. I would have to consider that as to be part of truth. Yeah, that could be it. That could be it.
What about R2D2?
Explain.
R2D2?
What's your rationale?
Really, Luke does nothing. R2D2 controls everything he needs to in the X-Wing. Luke just sits there, almost there, closer. But R2D2's back there getting thrashed and blown up. And he's
also R2D2 is the one that stopped the trash compactor from killing Luke, thus allowing for him to blow up the Death Star to begin with.
That's true too. I just think R2D2 needs more credit than he gets for being the co-pilot with Luke all these times.
So, all right, I'll get that. So my pick for who the true hero of the Battle of Yavin is a guy named Mithel, nicknamed Muller. He's a human. Now,
it's a trap. No, that's not human. That's Akbar. Go ahead.
So here's why he is the true hero of the Battle of Yavin. You guys remember Luke's in the trench, right? It's about to blow up the thing, and yes. Darth Vader's behind him. He's got two TIE fighters with him, right? Darth Vader's like, "Oh, I have you now." He's about to take out Luke, and then suddenly Han Solo appears and takes out a TIE fighter. You guys remember this?
I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that TIE fighter blows up. The second TIE fighter, the guy who pilots that TIE fighter is this Mithel or Mulder guy. That's his name, apparently. He's the true hero. And the reason why is because when his buddy blows up, what does he do? He could continue his course, or he could swerve out of the way in the opposite direction, but he doesn't. Instead, he chooses to swerve into Darth Vader, knocking Darth Vader's TIE fighter out of the fight, thus saving Luke's life. Therefore, he was able to destroy the Death Star. So he's the true hero.
Maybe he didn't mean to be.
Point. Yeah, it might be an unintentional thing.
No, I want to think he did that on purpose because, Darth Vader's walking around, this big, huge battle taking place. He runs up these two random or TIE fighter pilots. He's like,
now.
You come with me now.
It will look cooler.
Yeah, and the guys are probably like, they're probably like, oh, man, I don't want to go out there.
Kevin, Vader didn't really need those dudes, right? He could have just done it himself, couldn't he? Like he probably just took them with him to look cool.
Exactly. And so the one dude's like, you know what? His buddy gets killed. He's about to get killed. He's like, man, forget this mess. And he just reruns into Vader. He's like, forget you, dude. It's your fault I'm here. So he stood up to Vader, obviously. Because he could have crashed, swerved a different way, but he didn't. I think he purposely crashed into Vader.
I think he has a vendetta against Vader. Either A, he's upset that the Empire wasted 1 trillion galactic credits on this stupid base to begin with, or B, Vader choked like his buddy or killed his buddy or something. He has some sort of like, man, like you said, he's like, man, forget this. So he just runs into Vader.
Man.
What about? Do you think like would you give Han Solo any of the credit for getting there right on time and taking care of that other TIE fighter?
I mean, yeah, there's a point to that, but I secretly kind of hope that this guy was going to do that anyway.
Right.
Like he was just waiting for the right moment, and he's like, "Man, this is it."
All right. Well, good discussion, guys. We're almost out of time, but I think we have another Star Wars topic or two up our sleeve. So.
Oh, we do.
And
we can go all day with this, and then Disney princesses are next.
Yes, it's going to be great.
I think Disney princess is a good route to go, actually.
I think didn't we have one more Star Wars topic?
Yeah. I've got like millions of Star Wars topics.
Okay. We'll brainstorm. We'll come back. We'll have a good episode next time for sure.
I think we should do Disney princesses because I'm going to end this episode with a question, and it will tie into Disney princesses. Princess Leia, is she or is she not a Disney princess? We'll think about that, and I think that should tie into a Disney princess discussion next time.
Let's do it. All right, we'll talk about that later.
Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with us today and taking time to listen to the Brothers Born podcast. If you're a Star Wars fan, we hope you really enjoyed this episode as we dissected and really analyzed the feasibility of the Death Star. We want to thank Pyotr Mikowski for his image of the Death Star. We borrowed it from Unsplash.com. You can check out more of his work at Unsplash.com or on the app, the Unsplash app. We're going to continue our Star Wars discussions. As you heard in the episode, the next thing we're going to talk about is whether Princess Leia is a Disney princess or not. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts. You can let us know on our Facebook page at facebook.com/brothersbornpodcast or email us at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. All right. Thanks again, everyone. We'll catch you next time.